As night falls, an uneasy sensation spreads through him. He feels a pressure building, and when he looks down, he sees his manhood growing rapidly. Panic grips him. "What is happening to me?" he mutters, pulling at his trousers to conceal the growth. The story begins with Bayo, a young man known throughout his village for his promiscuity and charm. He was walking through the bustling market with his usual confident swagger. Women's eyes follow him, and he knows it. He has always had a way of making them feel special, which makes him get women easily, and he enjoys the thrill of each of his conquests. He spots Kemi, a seamstress who recently moved to the village, sitting by her stall. Bayo flashes his irresistible smile and walks up to her. "Ah, Kemi, how does someone like you manage to light up the entire market with just a smile?" he says, leaning in close. Kemi blushes, fidgeting with the fabric in her hands. "Bayo, you always know just what to say," she replied, handing him a answering handkerchief. "This is for you, Bayo." Bayo's conquests are numerous. He recalls the time he charmed Yetunde, the village fruit seller. "Yetunde, your oranges may be sweet, but they've got nothing on you," he had whispered to her, his eyes locking with hers. She laughed, and unable to resist his charm, she offered him the freshest fruit for free, day after day. That night, they met by the river, where Bayo's flattery and gentle touch were enough to make Yetunde forget her reservations. Another conquest, Amina, had been more challenging. She was known for her shyness and kept to herself, but Bayo was persistent, finding ways to compliment her every time they crossed paths. "Amina, every time I see you, I feel like I am witnessing the moon rise early," he would say. Slowly, she warmed up to him, and after weeks of his attention, she finally agreed to meet him at a secluded spot by the palm grove. They spent hours together under the moonlight, and by the end of the night, Amina, like so many before her, was entranced. Whenever his previous conquests caught him with unsuspecting victim, Bayo would laugh at them and quote his favorite sentence. "Your time has passed. It is time for a fresh meat," he would say. But even with all this, all the women in the village kept falling for Bayo's lies and fake promises, all because of how charming he was. Later that evening, as the sun sets, Bayo wanders to the edge of the village, where he encounters an old woman who specializes in magical potions, standing by the river. Her eyes are sharp, watching him with an unsettling intensity. "Ah, Bayo," she says, her voice low and almost mocking. "You must enjoy the way you toy with women's hearts, with your words and charm, giving them fake promises of marriage." The old woman roared. Bayo, ever boastful, laughs. "I don't need tricks or charms. Women fall at my feet without any effort." The old woman's eyes narrow, and she pulls out a small vial filled with a shimmering liquid. "Okay then, I have something to help you boost your attractiveness even more. This liquid will get you even more women. But beware, its power is beyond your understanding and must be handled with care." Bayo, confident in his abilities, scoffs at her warning. "I need no warning," he says, taking the liquid and drinking it all at once. As he wipes his lips, he feels a surge of energy coursing through him. The old woman watches with a mysterious smile. "You may soon find out that not all attention is a blessing, Bayo," she mutters as she vanishes into the shadows, leaving Bayo to wonder if he had made a grave mistake. The morning after drinking the mysterious potion, Bayo wakes up feeling an electrifying surge of energy coursing through his body. He looks at himself in the mirror, noticing how his skin glows and his confidence swells. He strides into the village square, smiling as he catches the attention of the women he meets. Today, they seemed even more captivated than before. Eyes linger, and shy glances turn into longing stares. Bayo revels in the attention. He spots Funke, one of the village's most sought-after women, and approaches her with his signature charm. "Funke, it seems the sun has taken a break, leaving you to light up our day," he says smoothly. She giggles, twirling her hair. "Oh, Bayo, you are always so full of sweet words." As they talk, Bayo feels invincible, knowing his charm is at its peak. But as night falls, an uneasy sensation spread through him. He feels a pressure building, and when he looks down, he sees his manhood growing rapidly. Panic grips him. What is happening to me? He mutters, pulling at his trousers to conceal the growth. He paces his room, hoping the sensation will fade, but it only intensifies. By morning, he realizes the potion's effects are far beyond what he anticipated. The next day, Bayo tries to move through the village unnoticed, adjusting his clothing to hide the transformation. He approaches the women cautiously, but their reactions are different. Some gasp when they notice his awkward posture, others step back, their eyes filled with confusion. Funke, who had been charmed by him the day before, now looks at him with a mix of fear and disgust. Bayo, what is wrong with you? She asked, her voice quavering. Bayo forces a smile, trying to laugh it off. Funke, just a little discomfort. But her eyes linger on the bulge that is impossible to hide. She steps back, her expression turning cold. Stay away from me, she shouts, fleeing the market. Bayo feels the eyes of the villagers turning toward him. Whispers spread like wildfire, and the once admiring glances become looks of suspicion and fear. Women begin to avoid him. Kenny, who once blushed at his every word, crosses the street when she sees him. Why is he walking so strangely? One of the women whispers. It is unnatural, another exclaims. The rumor mills pains as some women begin to call him cursed, convinced that he has angered the gods. Bayo, desperate to stop the transformation, seeks out an old friend, Ayo, hoping for support. Ayo, you have got to help me, brother. Something is happening to me, and I don't understand it. He pleads, but Ayo steps back, his face twisted in horror. Bayo, I don't know what is wrong with you, but I have heard the whispers. The elders are talking. They say you might be cursed. Ayo hesitates before adding, maybe it is best that you leave the village for a while. Bayo's heart sinks as he watched his friend walk away. The villagers' whispers grew louder as he walks through the market. Women pull their children closer and men glare at him, muttering threats. He is bringing a curse upon us all, one of the elders says, his voice carrying through the crowd. He should be banished before it spreads, another said. Bayo knows he can no longer hide. The child he once believed would make him more desirable had turned into a nightmare, and his once effortless charm has become his curse. He flees to his home, locking himself inside. Alone and terrified, he glances at the small liquid potion, now empty on the table, remembering the old woman's words. Its power must be handled with care. Bayo regrets drinking almost all the liquid at once. But it is too late. The women of the village have started avoiding him altogether, and even his closest friend had turned his back. Bayo realizes that the only way to reverse the curse is to find the mysterious woman and beg her for forgiveness. But deep down, he fears the price he will have to pay for his reckless actions. One day, the village elders gathered at the village square, their faces stern and voices low, as the whispers of Bayo's affliction spread like wildfire. Women huddled together, their eyes wide with fear. He is cursed, they murmur. His manhood grows like that of a demon, another said. Even the children, sensing the tension, cling to their mothers, peeking curiously from behind their skirts. The head elder, Babade, calls out in a booming voice, "Bring Bayo here." Two men, hesitant but firm, fetch him from his home, where he had been hiding for days. As they led him to the square, the crowd parts and all eyes fixed on him. Bayo walks with his head down, his shoulder heavy under the weight of shame and fear. The whispers grew louder, and some women covered their eyes, refusing to look at him. Once he reached the center of the square, Babade stepped forward. "Bayo, what have you done to bring such a curse upon yourself?" he demanded, his eyes filled with accusation. Bayo raised his head, his voice quavering. "I swear, I did nothing. I was only given a potion by the old woman near the river. I thought it would enhance my charm, but..." He falters as the villagers gasped and stepped back. "A potion?" a woman shrieks, clutching her child tighter. "You have brought evil into our village." Another elder, Mama Yabo, shakes her head. You have been reckless, Bayo. Magic is not to be trifled with. Bayo's mother, who cautioned him all the time to stop his flirtatious ways, also stood at the edge of the crowd, looking at him with her eyes full of sorrow and shame. My son, why didn't you heed my warning? Why did you let your greed blind you? Why? She cried. Her voice cracks, and Bayo felt a pang of guilt, realizing the pain he had caused. The crowd's anger grew, and voices rise in unison. Punish him, they cried. We must protect our village. Baba Ade raised his hand to silence them, and the square falls quiet. Bayo, until you find a way to reverse this course, you must leave. We cannot risk this evil spreading any further. He points toward the forest. Leave now, and do not return until you have cleansed yourself of this affliction. Bayo's heart pounds as he realized he had no choice. But where will I go? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. A few of the men pushed him toward the edge of the square. Go back to the forest, to the place where you met the old woman. Find her and make amends, one of them said. As Bayo walks away, he glances back at the villagers. The women avert their eyes, and even the men who once envied his charm now look at him with contempt. His mother's sobs echo in his ears as he leaves the village, feeling the weight of his mistake pressing down on him like a curse. He heads toward the dense forest, fear creeping into his mind. The villagers' whispers linger in the air. He is cursed. He is dangerous. He is a menace. For the first time, Bayo feels truly alone, banished by the very people who once adored him. He knows that finding the old woman may be his only chance at redemption, but he also realizes that the path ahead will be far from easy. Bayo stumbles through the dense forest, the whisper of the villagers still haunting his mind. Branches scratch at his arms as he pushes through, his eyes darting nervously in the dim light. The forest feels alive. Every rustle, every shadow seems to mock him, reminding him of his mistake. Find her, he mutters to himself, clutching the empty potion bottle. I need to find her, he repeated. As he moves deeper, the forest grows darker, and an unnatural chill fills the air. Suddenly, he hears his voice, a whisper, familiar yet taunting. Bayo, you thought you could charm your way through life. You made many women cry, it says. He spins around, but sees only shadows. His heart pounds as he realizes that the forest is testing him. Bayo pushes on, his body trembling. He reached a clearing where he sees illusions of the women he once took advantage of and deceived. Yetunde, Kemi, Amina, they call out to him. Their voices sweet, their eyes alluring. Bayo, come to us, they say, reaching out. For a moment, he almost stepped forward, but then their faces twist, turning angry. Look what you've become, they ease. This is your fault, they added. Stumbling backward, he trips over a root and falls. No! He shouts, his voice echoing in the silence. He pulls himself up, his breath ragged. I will find her. I must fix this, he cried. He continues deeper until he encounters a dark figure standing at the edge of a river. The figure is shrouded in shadows, only its eyes visible, glowing and piercing. You seek redemption, Bayo, it asks, its voice low and foreboding. Yes, I need to reverse this course, he says, desperation in his voice. The figure stepped closer, revealing an old man with a twisted smile. To find the one you seek, you must confront your pride. Only through humility will the path be revealed. The old man said. Bayo, confused and fearful, dropped to his knees. I will do anything, just tell me where she is. The old man points to a path shrouded in the mist. She awaits you, but the price will be high. Are you willing to sacrifice what you hold most dear? Trembling, Bayo nods. If it means undoing this, I am ready. I am ready. The old man vanishes, and the path opens before him. As Bayo takes his first step, he knows this journey is more than just a search for the woman. It is a test of his true character, one that will determine his fate. Bayo finally reached the river, its waters glowing under the moonlight. The air is thick with an eerie silence, and the trees around him sway, as if whispering secrets. He feels the weight of his actions, pressing down on him. But he knows that there is no turning back. "I must find her," he says, his voice barely a whisper. "This is my only chance," he cried as he stepped to the water's edge. Ripples form, and the woman he once met emerges from the depths, her eyes fixed on him. This time, her face is different, more powerful, more intimidating. She is no ordinary woman. She is a river spirit, and her gaze pierces through Bayo's soul. "You returned," she says, her voice echoing around him. "Did you think you could escape the consequences of your greed so easily?" The river spirit said. Bayo, trying to keep his composure, bows his head. "I was wrong. I didn't listen to your warning. I was foolish and selfish," he admits, his voice filled with regret. "Please, I beg you, undo this course. I will do anything." The spirit's eyes narrow, and she lifts her hand, conjuring an image of Bayo's past. The river reflects his many encounters with women, Yetunde, Kemi, Amina, all entranced by his deceit, but each left feeling empty as he moved on. "You used your charm as a weapon, treating women's hearts like trophies. Atone cold. You must face the truth of your actions," she added. The images shift, showing how the women had reacted since his affliction began. Funke, terrified, spreads the rumor that he is cursed. Amina prays at the village shrine, begging the gods to protect her. Kemi avoids leaving her home, fearful that Bayo's curse might spread to her. Bayo watched, his face edged with regret. "I didn't know. I never meant to cause them pain," he murmured. The spirit stepped closer, her expression unreadable. "To undo this course, you must choose. Either accept your fate and live in isolation, or make a sacrifice, something that has defined you for years." Bayo's eyes met hers, fear creeping into his voice. "What must I sacrifice?" he asked. The spirit gestured to the vow's empty form in his hand. "Your halo, your charm, everything you've built your pride upon. You will become an ordinary man, unnoticed and unremarkable. You may even face scorn for your past behavior. Are you willing to let go of everything that once made you feel powerful?" Bayo hesitates, his heart pounding. For years, his charm had been his greatest weapon, the one thing that set him apart. To give it up means losing his identity, his power. "If I do this, will my manhood be back to normal again?" he asked, desperation in his eyes. The spirit's gaze softened slightly, but her tone remains firm. "Redemption does not come with guarantees. The choice is yours." Bayo's hand trembled as he considers the offer. The idea of becoming invincible, of losing the one thing that made him feel special, terrified him. But the images of the women, their faces filled with fear and disappointment, flashed in his mind. He knew he cannot continue like that. With a deep breath, he knelt before the spirit, holding the empty vial to the water. "I choose to sacrifice my pride," he said, his voice steady. "I want to be free of this curse, no matter the cost," he added. The spirit nods, and the water swirls around Bayo, rising up to encircle him. He felt a cold rush, as if his very essence is being drained. Pain shot through him, and he screamed, but he didn't move. As the water recedes, he felt lighter, different. The spirit watched as his aura fades, leaving him feeling like an ordinary man. "It is done," she says. "The curse is lifted, but you will bear the mark of your past." She touched his chest, and a scar appeared, an unmistakable reminder of his mistake. "Live humbly, Bayo, and perhaps in time, the village will see you for who you truly are." As she vanished into the river, Bayo looked at his reflection. The vibrant, confident man he once knew was gone. Instead, he saw a humbled, scarred version of himself. He stood alone for a moment, the weight of his decision settling in. With a sigh, he turned and walked back toward the village, uncertain of the reception that awaited him, but resolved to accept whatever fate was ahead of him. As Bayo walked back into the village, his heart pounded with uncertainty. The scar on his chest burns, a constant reminder of the price he paid to break the curse. He feared the villagers' reaction, knowing the rumors had only grown stronger since he left. "Will they ever accept me again?" he mutters, doubt creeping into his mind. When he reached the village edge, he sees the women standing in clusters, their faces tense. Some of them notice his approach and immediately step back, whispering. The men, alerted by the commotion, gathered at the square, eyeing him with suspicion. Bayo's mother stood among them, her face lined with worry. Bayo paused, feeling the weight of their stares. "I am no longer cursed," he announced. "I found the old woman and made a sacrifice to undo my mistake." His voice wavered as he spoke, knowing his words alone may not be enough. Baba Ade, the head elder, stepped forward, his eyes narrowed. "And how do we know that this isn't another trick, Bayo? You have deceived us before." Bayo opened his shirt to allow them see his trouser and the scar. "My mouth is back to its original size, and this is the mark of my penance," he says. "The spirit told me that I would carry it as the proof of my humility." The villagers murmured, some glancing at the scar, while others remained unconvinced. Funke, one of the women he had once deceived, stepped forward. "Why should we believe you? You have hurt so many of us, Bayo," she said, her voice filled with pain. Bayo's eyes filled with remorse as he knelt before her. "I was wrong, Funke. I was arrogant and selfish, and I hurt you all. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want to make things right. Even if you never accept me again, I will work to earn back your trust, every one of you." Bayo cried. For a moment, the square was silent. Then, another woman he had once pursued stepped forward, her face softening. "People can change, but only if they truly want to," she says, her voice gentle. "Let us give him a chance to prove himself." Amina added. Mama Yabo, one of the villagers' elders, nodded. "If you are sincere, time will reveal your intentions," she said. Baba Ade finally lowers his staff, signaling the villagers to step back. "You may stay, but understand this. Redemption is not freely given. You must earn it through your actions." He thundered. Bayo, relieved yet humbled, bowed his head. "Thank you. I will work to regain your trust." As he walked through the square, the villagers packed, allowing him to pass. Weeks passed since Bayo returned to the village. Although he had been allowed to stay, the villagers remained wary of him. Every day, he worked tirelessly, helping the elders, repairing houses, and keeping his head low. He no longer seeks attention, no longer flirts with the women, and he avoided the gaze of those he once charmed. The scar on his chest is a constant reminder of his past arrogance and the price he had to pay. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Let me know where you're watching this video or listening from. If you enjoyed this story, I'm sure you enjoyed this one, about a pastor who declared that Bibles are not allowed in his church. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.